Greetings all and welcome to the Converge to Accelerate ConV2X 2023 Ignition Pitch Competition. I'm pleased to bring you this exciting two-day hybrid and CME accredited forum focused on technology and innovation in healthcare, specifically in telehealth, platform approaches in healthcare, and blockchain technology, all drivers of our new health and data economy. The event is produced by the open access peer-reviewed journals, Telehealth and Medicine Today and Blockchain in Healthcare Today. My name is Tori Sinai, founder and publisher of Partners in Digital Health, and I'm honored to welcome esteemed judges and illustrious competitors to our event today and wish you all the best of luck. Allow me to turn the program over to Xuan Gui, our Master of Ceremony and esteemed judge today. Xuan?
Thanks, Tori. It's really great to be here and welcome everybody to the ConV2X pitch competition. We've got 7 exciting startups ready to pitch for you and a lineup of great judges as well. Before we get started, we're just going to very quickly introduce the judges and we'll have them just say their name, their title, and their affiliation, and then we'll move on from there so we can get to the exciting bit, which is to hear the pitches from the startups. So let's get started with the introductions. So why don't we start with you, Bill?
Hi, everybody. My name is Bill Toronto. I'm president of the Merck Global Health Innovation Fund, which is Merck's digital and tech fund.
Great, thank you. Nisa?
Hi, Nisa Amoyals, managing partner, A100X Ventures.
Great. Nick?
Hi, my name is Nick Tietz. I'm the CEO and founder of ILT Academy.
And Nick, I know that you also contributed one of the prizes for the startup. Do you want to just tell us quickly what that prize is?
Yes. We have a couple seats for our ILT Academy program valued at $3,000 each. It's a lean startup training program to hone your idea and get it to the next level.
Great, thank you. Shweta?
Hi, my name is Shweta Sneha. I am the founder, executive director, and professor of healthcare management and informatics at Kennesaw State University.
Great. Cheyenne? Is Cheyenne here? Oh, why don't we go to the next person first? How about Ruby?
Hi, everyone. Delighted to be here. I'm Ruby Galarab, the CEO and founder of MDisrupt.
Great. Fernando?
I'm Dr. Fernando La Peña, President and CEO of AX Aerospace.
Great, thank you. And just to check, Tori, is Cheyenne here?
I don't see him on the list and did not receive any indications that he wouldn't be. But why don't we just move forward in that case, Xuan?
I was going to suggest that we do that. We have a lineup of great judges, and I don't think we're going to delay it any further. So we'll get started. So let's bring up our first startup for the pitch competition. Just to go over the timing, startups will have 10 minutes exactly to pitch their company, and then the judges will have 5 minutes for Q&A. And startups, if you go past the 10-minute mark, we will shut you down so that we have enough time for everybody on this call. All right, so let's get started. The first startup that we'd like to bring up is Therium. So are you ready? Great. So I'm going to count you down. You'll have 10 minutes starting from now.
Good morning or afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Paniz Jasby.
And I'm Dr. Alex Moore.
And we are the co-founders of Therium, a revolutionary startup that is positioned to transform the future of healthcare within systems biology, digital twinning, and blockchain technology. Today, we are excited to showcase how Therium's innovative products and services are well poised to make a significant advancement in personalized healthcare. Let's begin by addressing several crucial problems in healthcare that Therium is dedicated to solving. Our current diagnostic practices often identify diseases only in advanced stages, making treatment challenging and outcomes less favorable. The ultimate goal for doctors, medical device manufacturers, pharmaceutical companies, hospitals, insurance companies, and other healthcare organizations is to help each of us along but at present, incentives in the industry put too much emphasis on treatment and not enough on wellness and prevention. Only about 3% of the $4.3 trillion spent by the US medical industry is currently spent on prevention. However, there is clearly potential when surveying the biohacking and self-testing in big data and analytics markets. Early and accurate detection of health risks is essential and has tremendous untapped profitability. Moreover, medicine often adopts a one-size-fits-all approach, which isn't always effective given the unique biology of an individual. Recent advances in analyzing each layer of our personal biology offers the potential to vastly improve prevention in human health, particularly with an emphasis on personalized medicine. The most sensitive omics layer for informing personalized and preventative approaches include the metabolome and the microbiome. And this is particularly the case for nutritional, lifestyle behaviors, and medications, producing recommendations that are often simple and operable by an individual. So how exactly do we accomplish this? Allow me to introduce our innovative products, the Aristotle and the BioMe health tests. The Aristotle is an AI-powered metabolic health test that explores over 84 metabolic pathways and 344 disease signatures reported in the blood using remote patient monitoring techniques. It delivers a comprehensive health analysis from a single dry blood spot sample collected at home.
On the other hand, BioMe is a unique at-home gut microbiome test that moves beyond typical assessments. It employs cutting-edge technology to scrutinize the metabolic activity of the gut microbiota, enabling profound insights into gut health and potential disease predispositions, as well as bridging the gap between the microbial environment to host health. The real power behind Theriome lies in the sophisticated computational analyses that we employ. We use cutting-edge AI and bioinformatics, such as neural networks, to analyze the vast array of data gathered from each test, thereby providing a comprehensive systems-level view of an individual's health. An excellent example is weight loss. We know body weight and the amount of fat one carries is highly correlated to health, with nearly 50% of US adults trying to lose weight in the last 12 months, according to the CDC. Moreover, as we can see in the figure to the right, there's no straightforward method, with adults reporting a multitude of different strategies. From our extensive research, we know the microbiome, for example, is involved in regulating body weight, but is also extremely variable between individuals, with no clear way to provide uniform interventions across groups. Considering this inherent individuality, to harness the power of a systems approach, it's quite apparent that an N of 1 type of assessment is critical to making precision medicine actually usable. At Theriome, we are building out systems to leverage the power of digital twin technology to drive significant, sustainable health outcomes. We recently performed a case study, as illustrated here, guiding a participant through a personalized weight loss journey over a year-long period. Cross-referencing digital twin technology, we started by conducting an initial health assessment using our Aristotle and BioMe tests, which captured comprehensive metabolic and gut microbiome data from the participant. With advanced AI and bioinformatics, we analyzed this data to create a digital twin model of the participant's health. This digital twin served as essentially a virtual replica of their physiological characteristics and health parameters, which we continually updated in real time based on data inputs and responsiveness to interventions.
And while this platform establishes a comprehensive digital nexus for interfacing with systems biology data, it also synergizes personal health records, wearable device metrics, and deep dives from self-report surveys to provide unparalleled insights. Taking our commitment to accessibility a step further even, our mobile application is in the advanced stages, having been submitted for review and approval, ensuring our users will soon have even more convenient on-the-go access to our groundbreaking services. On the left, you can see a health report generated across our 12 key health domains using our proprietary Bayesian AI. These health domains include everything from a validated aging index, mitochondrial health, integumentary health, responses to environmental toxins and systematic pollutants, as well as mutational load. On the right, you'll see personalized recommendations generated by our proprietary neural engine that is trained on a database of results and effect sizes that we have meticulously mapped and curated to be used in our digital twin platform. Here we see a metabolic disease enrichment report, cross-referencing the 344 blood-based disease signatures reported in the human metabolome. We can see the disease signature to the left, total number of matched metabolites, a percentage match, as well as a confidence score, which is an analytical probability of type 1 error. It's essentially 1 minus alpha. Theriom's health tests, the totality of our health testing services, currently the Aristotle and BioMe, have been embraced by early adopters, including biohackers, health-conscious individuals, as well as patients and physicians dealing with complex health issues, seeking comprehensive insights into their metabolic and gut health. To ensure the practicality and effectiveness of our tests, we've established a network of practitioners who seamlessly have integrated the Aristotle and BioMe into their practices. And these healthcare professionals have utilized our tests to customize treatment plans, monitor patient progress, and optimize overall health outcomes for their patients. Moreover, our data has demonstrated the validity of our tests, showing high correlation with traditional diagnostic methods and exceptional predictive accuracy for specific health outcomes. Most importantly, of all of this, the real-world impact of our tests has been validated through the positive testimonials from users and practitioners engaged in testing with Theriom.
As we have the ability, obviously, to generate an immense amount of data, constructing a fruitful longitudinal database is essential to our efforts, offering potential mining opportunities for other health entities or research entities. We are set to partner with Blaze to build out a fully functional private blockchain, leveraging Hyperledger Fabric technology. In this ecosystem, all tests will use secure blockchain technology, ensuring patients' data confidentiality, interoperability, and ownership of data. Moreover, tokenization of data that we foresee can enable potential data sharing and actually financial incentives for the data owner, i.e. the consumer or the patient. So here's just a brief overview, a brief schematic of how we envision the Theriom data ecosystem, from the individual coming in and receiving the various testing services that we currently offer and will offer in the future, essentially providing all the omics layers within a systems biology framework, actually creating a public key for that within the Theriom data ecosystem, and then decrypting that data. And if it comes out of this data system and being used for other health entities, actually tokenizing that so the client has ownership over their data. As we operate in the digital health and metabolic testing realm, we face competition from various health tech companies, genomic testing firms, and personalized health startups. However, what sets us apart is the depth, the sophistication, and the comprehensiveness of our offerings. Aristotle and BioMe go beyond genetic testing health markers. They actually provide profound insights into individuals' health status and actually future risk patterns. Our proactive approach towards health empowers users to take control of their own health journey, making us transformational rather than incremental. Our business model is rooted in direct consumer healthcare services and involves 3 revenue streams: product sales, subscription services, and partnerships with healthcare providers. This model is sustainable with consistent growth projected for the next 12 months. Theriom services do not require a change in reimbursement policies as users pay directly for the service. The incorporation of blockchain technology further enhances our impact on secure health data management, showcasing our commitment to advancing blockchain in healthcare sectors. Looking ahead, our vision is to achieve multi-omic integration within the medical system, driving clinically significant improvements in patients' health outcomes. By leveraging blockchain technology, we aim to create a secure, decentralized data repository that ensures patient data privacy and control. This will facilitate patient-centric healthcare, research, collaboration, and potential business models like data monetization.
In conclusion, Theriom is on a mission to revolutionize the future of health and care. Our innovative products, the Aristotle and BioMe, offer comprehensive health insights, empowering individuals to take a proactive rather than reactive control of their health.
That's time, gentlemen. Thank you. Shwen, over to you.
Great. Thank you very much, Theriom. I would like to now hand over this time to the judges. I know they've already got a few questions lined up on the chat, so why don't I hand it off? I think Cheyenne had the first question that they put in there, so go ahead.
Thank you. Great job on your presentation. Curious, you said that you're already working with practitioners with clinical. So I'm just curious, what is the clinical validation? Has it been studied double-blinded, or have you compared it to placebo?
Yeah, absolutely. So we most of the data that we have curated in our database, from which the data have been mined and models generated and validated, those are from clinical studies, peer-reviewed studies who have had their data anonymized and made open to access for us. We have mined this data also from in silico genomic reconstructions to essentially gauge a median expression value. And right now we are publishing articles, as we saw some figures from our upcoming article.
So sorry, maybe I can clarify. Have you compared this? So I practice metabolic. My wife's a metabolic geneticist. There's not a reason to take metabolic pathway and test them regularly on patients. There's no outcome that's changed if you follow metabolic metabolites on normal people. And so I'm curious, have you compared a group of patients using your data and your platform versus the average person? And have you had a clinical validation? So if I use your platform, is there an outcome difference versus not using your platform?
Absolutely. The outcome difference is in the specificity of the results that we deliver, as well as the coverage that we can look at. You know, when you go get a CBC, when you go get traditional blood health testing markers, you get a liver panel, lipid panel, you are looking at, you know, handful for each panel maximum. I just actually got health testing done yesterday at my physician, and it returned 39 parameters. And from those 39 parameters, they're all being sort of analyzed discreetly and according to the physician's practice and their experience and training. What we are doing is banking those metabolite levels. Now, we're not looking yet at hemoglobin A1C, cholesterol, and everything in the proteome, but as we are banking metabolite signatures that have been validated in the literature, we are producing match scores with them. And that isn't, you know, necessarily a double-blinded study where we can say we put 30 in this group and 30 in this group and our test fared better in outcomes this by this percentage. But we do have colloquial, at least, evidence. And the physicians who do use our tests, especially when they're dealing with complex disorders that aren't easily amenable to a simple differential, our test is coming in with new insights and very specific recommendations as far as diet and lifestyle are concerned.
Can you give just last question? Can you give an example of a complex metabolic disease where this is useful, whereas conventional medicine is inferior?
Sure. So let's talk about, you know, cancer genomics. You know, cancer, of course, there's various breast cancer genes that are implicated in the onset of pathogenesis and the progression of that. But within that etiology are very nascent metabolic signatures that are associated with breast cancer. And breast cancer is one of the most well-typified metabolomic signatures. And oncologists have been very ready to adopt metabolomics into their practices. And so what we are saying is by having the metabolomic output, when you have, you know, presence or absence of BRCA1 gene, that can facilitate the understanding of certain broad probabilities of the breast cancer etiology. But by monitoring very nascent and early signals of that breast cancer, we are able to, even at least in the literature, typify between, you know, stages of cancer, ductal versus lobular cancers, and really get a gauge of breast cancer progression that is additive to the very, again, broad probabilities that genomics often asserts.
I'm afraid we only have about 30 seconds left, so I don't know if Ruby, you have one quick question, and then we'll have to move on.
I have one. Yes, go ahead.
I have a lot of questions. Okay, can I ask?
We have 20 seconds to answer.
Okay. Regulatory strategy. What's your regulatory strategy?
Our regulatory strategy? Currently, we're operating as an approved IVD with all benchmarks being met. We're HIPAA compliant. We're certified as far as an IVD in North America, Europe, and Australia. In the future, we do plan to grow and seek regulatory approval and tap insurance reimbursement.
Great. I'm afraid we've run out of time for Q&A.
Just one question. No, not related to this, but if I don't make questions, I will give them a lower rate. Just FYI, they didn't answer my questions. The rate is going to be low. That at least I will reduce like 1 or 2 points. Just FYI.
Yeah, I get it, but you know, we only have a fixed amount of time, so I'm afraid we only have so many questions. So maybe judges, if you could try to keep your questions to one question and keep it quick, for all other
Yeah,
many.
because my question was the second one on the chat, but yeah, it's okay. But just FYI, they will have a lower score because of this.
Can we answer on the chat?
Yeah, I'm afraid we can't get to everybody's questions if there are too many. But judges, if I could ask you now to maybe score for Therium, and the scores are based on the basically 4 categories, right? We're looking at their impact, innovation, scalability, and presentation. If you could provide the scores for that for Therium, and then we'll move on and have the next startup set up for us, which is Pragmaclin. And Therium, if you want to answer the question that I think that there's some
exactly
questions
what
in
we're
the chat
doing.
there, if
Yeah,
you could
that's
do
exactly
that, that
what
would
we-
probably be a
Yeah.
helpful way to
Sure.
be able to use the time.
That's exactly what we'll do. Yep.
Thank you.
Awesome, and I'm good whenever. You can see my screen
Great.
and hear me okay?
Yes, yes, we can. So let me count you down. Pragmaclin, you have 15 minutes starting from now.
Awesome. Hi there, my name is Bronwyn Bridges. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Pragmaclin. But before I tell you a little bit about where Pragmaclin is today, I would like to tell you a bit about our story and our journey that inspired us to get here. So meet Gord. He was an avid runner his entire life until his 50s, where he starts to notice some gait and slowness occurring. He brushes it off as an age-related symptom, as sadly many people do, until a few short years later, he started to notice he was having trouble shaving in the morning. He was scared and had limited family members around him, so he decided to go seek help. But then he was quickly told it would be a 1 to 2 year wait time to see a neurologist. That wait time now exceeds up to 4 years in certain parts of the country in Canada, and hits 2 years even in some private sectors. So Gord was then one of the 10 million people that were diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's and how it's currently diagnosed leads to 25% of the cases being misdiagnosed because of the subjectivity of the long assessments and the lack of time they have to complete them. It also means that patients are typically only seen once per year with limited to no follow-up in between. And the complex assessment that tracks over 40 symptoms leave patients feeling in the dark between appointments and clinicians feeling the burnout in the healthcare system even more than they are after COVID. So we had decided we wanted to get together when I was doing my research and Gord was first diagnosed as a serial entrepreneur. And I have a short video that I'd like to play that better demonstrates through a video of what we started to create. So hopefully you can see and hear it okay, and wave me down if it has an error. We decided to start Pragmaclin because we wanted to be able to help patients see help faster than Gord had to experience, and hopefully catch disease progression earlier on. So worldwide, there are currently 10 million Parkinson's disease patients, and this number continues to double every 20 years. The largest problem we see is that patients are waiting 1 to 2 years for this diagnosis process to occur, and when it does happen, 25% of the cases are currently being misdiagnosed from the subjective assessment. With this, when they are diagnosed, they typically are only seen once a year. I met Gordon while doing my research, and he came to me with a brilliant idea to be able to help Parkinson's patients. And then our idea actually progressed into a full software which we've developed called PRIMS. It's a Parkinson's Remote Interactive Monitoring System. The way that the software works is the depth cameras are attached to the computer. The patient stands in front of the cameras and doesn't have to attach any sensors to the body, making it really easy for those fine motor tasks that Parkinson's patients typically struggle with. At the end of the test, the patient will actually receive a score in real time that shows the progression for each individual symptom. This system will not only help increase the patient throughput and the wait times, but will also allow us to care for the patients in remote areas who don't have the same access to healthcare. Over the past year, we've been able to expand our team to continue developing the software so that we're ready for validation trials across the globe. Ever since I started taking a science degree, I've been really invested in being able to help improve people's lives, and Gord has become family, so I want to have that same connection with so many other patients. So hopefully you were able to see and hear that okay, but as mentioned in the video, we decided that we wanted to replace costly sensors that are currently only used in clinical trials with pharma companies with some type of hardware that already exists, but in a unique combination so that we could then place it into practical clinics and hospitals where they could afford to have this treat their patients. And so we provide real-time motion capture assessments from within the clinic for the part 3 of the international scale that they're supposed to use but have lack of time. And we then supplement it with at-home surveys on a weekly basis that patients and their caregivers can then use to enter the same platform. It then is able to show comprehensive, accessible data and notifications for clinicians, patients, and the caregivers, as well as other stakeholders such as physio, general practitioners, and more. They're able to see trends over time, history of past exams from the motor and the non-motor side, and our algorithms can actually alert you to what we call red flags in symptoms that are progressing more rapidly and need to be seen more frequently. This also shows where you sit on the scale, so you have a more objective measure on how to better titrate those medications. We're currently building a presence in the UAE, the UK, and the US. So we use the specialty cameras with what we've created, and then we use this on trial participants through partnerships that we've gathered. These then go into the hospitals through procurement opportunities, and then we plan to scale to the private movement disorder clinics. Down the road, we're looking for an exit and acquisition and through pharmaceutical company, but we house all of the IP and the data within PregnaClin, so we can then also monetize on our database later on and provide better insights to a disease that's not as well known. And currently right now, we have existing CMS codes in the US that we fall under. And so when we approach this based on a patient tier count and how many patients are seen in each clinic or hospital, the average subscription runs to about $50,000 that we plan to target with. But we are noticing that it does need to be a flexible model because we're selling in healthcare and everyone has different budget lines for that. However, the yearly amount of those assessments that are completed for just Parkinson's disease alone is $10 billion a year. And that doesn't include any of the follow-on markets that we plan to target, such as MS, Huntington's, stroke, and more, which are also movement disorders that are seen in the same types of clinics. So we also have been able to then gather multiple trials that we are planning to launch this year or are already launched. We have 2 usability studies that we completed, one last year and one earlier this year, with a paper currently submitted for publication. And our first clinical trial actually began in July in Dubai. And we've currently screened 19 participants so far from the full range of severity 0 to 4. And we've cut the neurologist assessment time from 25 minutes to 11 minutes during their clinical practice. This has had 100% positive reviews from all of the patients and the neurologists who have used it. So we're seeing really great results so far and hope to be able to use that data in a new publication that we'll be putting out. We've managed to leverage 1.5 million, and it's been entirely in non-dilutive funding grants from the government of Canada and from grants within the state of Maine in where we are located. We're co-located between Canada and the US and work across both borders. Understanding that we started in Canada and maybe it's not the fastest healthcare market, we decided to seek out partnerships within the US for FDA clearance and have had really great success with Maine Health. So what makes us different, because there are other companies in the Parkinson's disease space or movement disorder market, but for us, what we really notice is that Parkinson's disease specifically has so many symptoms and patients don't even realize that some of the symptoms they have are from the Parkinson's. And so we wanted to make sure we captured almost all of the symptoms on the UPDRS scale. There's currently 40 symptoms and we track 35 of them. So we capture a lot more symptoms than our competitors by combining the at-home and the in-clinic software solution. We have regulatory IP and reimbursement all looked into. So our regulatory falls, we'll say specifically for the US, we are going for a 510K Class 2A off of a predicate device that we have in a different space. And we have strong branding and marketing, but also the Canadian government funded a full IP strategy, patent filing, and everything on top of that for freedom to operate. And then our reimbursement code, we worked with a consultant in the US to find what reimbursement codes we would fall under so that we could make sure it was an easier sell into the healthcare market. My team consists of myself. I am the CEO and co-founder, but I'm also a PhD pharmacology researcher specializing in Parkinson's disease research. And I met my co-founder, who was a serial entrepreneur in the biotech space and then was diagnosed with Parkinson's. We quickly brought on a tech lead when we went from a project into what we call a company now. And 2 years later have been able to scale out our team in business development, marketing, and research, as well as mostly software, and bring in machine learning experts and people who have specifically been studying Parkinson's disease. But we also know that we don't have all of the expertise. So we've brought in a wonderful team of advisors from across the globe who have either worked for IBM in the business development space and are now actually Parkinson's patients, or digital health advisors who are over in Saudi Arabia helping make a difference there and helping us to scout other markets. But we also have neurologists and neurology researchers as well, who've been helping us to launch our trials in multiple markets. And one of them that you saw there, who works really closely with us, is actually the 4th most published author in the world for Parkinson's disease. And he helped us to launch our trials in the UK and Dubai. He said that
Let's see if we can mute that. Sorry. Yep, there you go.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm trying to go back now. That he said that will help to optimize treatment strategies and provide better end-to-end care for his patients. And he's really excited about what we have in store with him and our partnerships. I have a short video that's actually not been seen yet. So this is kind of the first time anybody's gotten to see, but we did launch the Dubai trial and this video came from there. And it's just a quick clip of them describing the benefit to them as a system and how well it was working.
Once what I hear, see, we are only seeing like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, very difficult for us to explain all our symptoms to doctors. So this is an ideal way of optimizing, digitalizing the overall.
That's time, Bronwyn. Thank you very much. Shwen, over to you.
Exactly.
Great, thank you. That was great. Thank you very much. Let's see if I can get a little bit of an applause there. So judges, anybody have questions? If I could ask you to use the hand raising feature, that would help me know who to call on. Or anybody first have any questions? Ruby, go ahead. I see your head nod.
Yes, great presentation, Bronwyn. What is, I'm assuming that tell me what your go-to-market is and how you plan to get reimbursement, because I think it's a little bit beyond a couple of the details you showed there.
Yeah, of course. And so when I said I'm going to speak to mostly the US probably market here, just in this, as we only have a few minutes, but the work that we've been doing with consultants was to help figure out what that pathway is, and knowing selling into healthcare wasn't easy. We plan to take our partnerships that we currently have with Maine Health. For example, we use the innovation arms to have them test it. And the premise that we have when seeking innovation arms in these hospitals is that they actually have a procurement budget and an innovation line in which we fall into to test and try, and then procure if all goes well during the trial. So our first go-to-market is into that space where the trial partners become the paid users. In the end, we do hope to scale into the actual movement disorder clinics that are more specialized. And in that, we also plan to add on those modules like MS and stroke, which then makes it a better selling proposition. But for us, we worked with a reimbursement consultant to find out how it falls. And there's a lot of codes that they can actually use, whether they're actually customizing in our system and only picking certain motor tasks that they want to do. They can break it down on an individual code basis. But there's a code 99483, which I mentioned in the slides. And that's the full Parkinson's clinical assessment that you would do, cognitive and motor assessment. There's also then, if the patient did just the motor assessment and you were reviewing it, just the review portion, that's also billable as well. And so we plan to go through and say selling as a subscription as a whole package, and then they will reimburse for every time the system is used. There's also the clinics who don't believe in maybe the one-time buy and they want to do on a per use case. So that's something that we have to kind of consider. But as of now, the partners we're working with are comfortable with the full budget line and then reimbursing on their own with their billing codes that they have.
So let's go to Fernando next, and then Bill after you. We've got 3 minutes to get to both of them.
Well, great presentation. It seems like you are using volumetric video camera, so it's a Kinect. Question for you. I believe it's a great solution. Why not using a smartphone? Any smartphone has a LiDAR camera. I believe it's going to be easier for anyone just to pull their smartphone and capture instead of having cable, just using their hands and tracking. I believe that will be a brilliant solution. Just that will bring something new to your technology. Just make it device agnostic instead of just trying to rent a Kinect camera, which is very hard to get now, and a computer and the software.
Yeah, great question. And we get asked that quite a bit. Some of our competitors are in the space of using the phones, and they also have the accelerometers so they can track tremor at home. But most of those are only capturing a couple of the symptoms and can't run through the full scale because one of the main tests is gait and slowness. And so it's tracked from afar. So the depth on those cameras isn't as accurately tapped into. And we did want to sell as a B2B model to try and improve the clinical efficiency, because feedback we got from the neurologists was that patients come in with all of this data they had from at home on their phones, and then they don't actually have time to review it or go over it with them in the clinic. So we wanted to go in for more of a clinical efficiency and how to improve the practice, as opposed to giving more data to the clinician to have to deal with more burnout.
Bill?
Thank you. Just follow up to the first question about your go-to-market. And The sales cycle for the hospital is quite long. The innovation arms typically don't have a lot of budget, quite frankly. Why wouldn't you just sell into the movement clinics right away instead of staging like you're staging, or try to sell across the board to all three of your areas versus just trying to focus on the hospital? Because I think that the sales cycle is so long in hospital that you may take a very long time to get implemented.
Yeah, I agree. And you're definitely not wrong. It's something we talk about almost every week and back and forth on which one we want to do first. Really, it's just that we only have partnerships right now with hospital systems and less on the private movement clinic. And our advisors are people who have actually worked with veterans and affairs and everything else. And so it's like, how do we end up finding the right connections? So the connections have just been through the hospitals, and that's why the private movement disorder clinics are definitely where we want to go, because they're more specifically focused. It's more just our first go to market is likely going to be that, and trying to align that when we get our FDA approval, that we can then go into those clinics.
That's time.
Great.
Thank you. Over to you, Shwen.
Great, thank you very much, Pragma. We're gonna go on to our next startup now, Genobank. So Genobank, as you start to get ready, judges, please can I ask you to score Pragma. All right. We'll give the judges 30 seconds more to finish their scoring. And Genobank, are you guys ready?
Yes.
Can't hear you. Okay,
Yes,
great. All right, Bill, if you want to put your hand down, probably reset everything. And any judges need more time? Otherwise, shall we get started? All right, let's go. So Genobank, you have 15 minutes starting from now.
Thank you very much, everybody. Whenever we see or read like Web3 in the healthcare space, what we are trying to fix the first time is the legal tech, right? The regulatory aspect. And more succinctly, the data governance around it. This is very important today, as many direct-to-consumer and home testing companies are not scaling, are not being like adopted, because one specific problem, which is lack of trust and lack of consent, and it's basically a data management problem. I know this because my son was diagnosed in 2017 with a rare disease. I was already involved in the blockchain space, and I wanted to design a bio wallet, or a wallet that would be specifically to trace and give authenticity to this data. So my son was diagnosed with Glanzmann thrombocythemia, which this diagnosis is going to be very important at the end of the conversation. So basically, the problem we're solving is the data centralization. Data centralization is causing a DNA data crisis, again, because it's lack of trust, lack of consent. So giving the data to enterprises is not necessarily aligned with the interest of patients. Either hackers or deficient or not ethical decisions by the leaders of the companies are mining this trust. They are obviously getting not good results from it. So the thing is that now we even have fake human DNA data. Just this week, a startup announced that they are using AI to generate artificial human genomes. So on top of the lack of trust in the companies, now we have a lack of trust in the data sets itself. Why? Because many of these companies, and we have heard some of their colleagues, they are training their data sets onto anonymized or disaggregated data sets. But now the next question will be, are they from real humans, right? So what we did since 2018, we have been talking with even Vitaly Buterin, the creator of Ethereum, and we partner specifically with William Entriken. He is the lead author of the ERC 721 to create world first bio NFTs. Bio NFTs, in essence, are verifiable biosamples and derived bio data from the saliva tube, right? It's very specific that we have the serial number from the manufacturer, create the digital twin, and then start tracking either the biosample itself or the bio data. So we have implemented this with DNA Genotech, Maui, and other main manufacturers like Spectrum. But this will allow to unleash the full power of biosamples. It's interoperable as it's based on a standard ERC 721. We're a utility NFT, so we are SEC friendly. It's just $1 per biosample at maximum. And we didn't want to drink our own Kool-Aid. So we are the only NFT peer reviewed by the British Blockchain Association, and we have been cited by more than 68 other publications. So basically, we're in the intersection of how we can program privacy laws using smart contracts, basically NFTs, into the genomic world. We have 3 patents that comprises the use of NFTs, DNA kits, and consent, or the rules that are around these biosamples. In 2020, we launched the world's first commercial decentralized DNA data vault with our partner Somos. So basically, it's a kit, right? It's a saliva kit that for the first time used a wallet, 12-word seed phrase, very familiar with it, to have personalized ancestry NFTs. And this is not only for fun. These NFTs will certify that these persons or these participants are from the Latino or Latina ancestry, and therefore this is being used right now for clinical trials to comply with FDA's mandatory instruction to be more diverse or be inclusive, right? During the pandemic, we were also very busy. We incorporated the HL7 clinical output from many clinical machines that came directly again from the biosample. So again, the origin is the biosample, but now we certify and authorize using Web3 all the output of an HL7 message. And we use this to create attestations. So these patients and then passengers will be able to onboard. So this is our most famous kind of use case so far. And we have held more than 330,000 biosamples to be converted into attestations. So clinical for insurance companies, for paternity tests, which is the other use case that we have. So we have also the world's first Web3 verifiable paternity test. Same principle. We have 3 biosamples. We notarize the outputs, and then you can, as an authority, you can verify the authenticity of the test. So this is the main course right now. In this moment, we are focalizing on newborns. So because of my use case or my family, we are now focusing on newborn sequencing. So it's a world first trio exome genovault that will hold or store the data from the family, father, mother, and child. And then we not only make it secure and family owned, but now we are connecting it to AI. Particularly, we have a beta program with ChatGPT-4, which now has passed the medical exam in the United States to make some approximations, right? It's not a clinical grade, obviously, but it helps to explain better the mutations. What are the steps here? The first step is that the sequencing lab will generate the FASTQ files or the DNA files. And for the first time, again, we are providing a dashboard for the laboratory where you can see who is the owner, right? The owner is not us, is the patient or the biosample owner. So you have the wallet, which will convert this into a laboratory CRM. So now we are enabling laboratories to have a CRM based on the biosamples. And of course, this is proof of authenticity or proof of origin of data. Step 2, we create the GenoVault, right? So people can own and control their own data. And then they will select the researchers, laboratory, universities, or research studies to participate. Every single one has its own version of consent. It can be revoked using Web3 methods. In this case, the NFT that is corresponding to permission can be revoked. And this is a demo that we have today. So basically, we are using AI to enrich the variant description, right? We use CleanVar, which is obviously an open source database. We annotate the data sets, but then we train ChatGPT to tell, hey, I am the father of this person. Please help me to understand better each of the variants, right? So we use AI to do this, and we call it an exome navigator, right? So this, once it's curated and it's filtered, we are enabled, this is our business model. We are a B2B company, and we enable decentralized research studies and making the patient or elevating the patient as a data partner. So now as owners, they will be able to decide which decentralized research they want to participate or not. And obviously we charge a fee on every single transaction without obviously touching the data of each individual. We just manage the relationships or the legal relationships or the legal or the digital rights of each of the patients. This is our newest kind of contribution, that we are not only wanting to decentralize the governance of the data, we not only want to empower patients to interpret the data, but now we want predictive capabilities. So we are partnering with Envelope, one of the companies we're here. So we will incorporate radiology NFTs and make it obviously in a more longitudinal kind of data sets. And we're incorporating also Time GPT. It's a new version. It's from another company, not OpenAI, to make modeling and predictions, right? So this is our current traction. So we have a partnership with more than 33 clinical laboratories. We have helped 4 genetic testing companies to issue their Web3 enabled biosample collection kit. And we're surpassing so far $350,000 in revenue. This is a patient update. So if you remember, my son was diagnosed with Glanzmann thrombostenia in 2017. Well, guess what? Using my own platform, I was able to verify this, and he's not sick with that. He has a syndrome called Hermansky-Pudlak. So now his physician is reviewing the data as we speak. But the thing is that now the problem for us as family is that now it can cause a pulmonary fibrosis. But still, this is very important for us because now we have an early detection here.
Time, Shwen, over to you.
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you very much, Genobank. Judges, please raise your hands if you have questions, and I'll ask in the order of the hand raised. But I know, Nisa, you had that first question in the chat, so why don't you go ahead?
Yes, great presentation. How do you know that your utility, if the SEC has already brought some cases against NFTs for being securities? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So it's very simple. There is a test. So the first one is we are not fractionalizing it. So if there's no SEC problem if you're not fractionalizing it or offering it as an investment. Basically, our NFT was created after the protocol existed. So that's another thing that the SEC requires. And the most important one, we do not speculate with this. This is an asset that only proves origin, proves consent, proves digital rights without being any speculative. So people cannot buy your consent. Let's put it this way, or speculate with a consent. That would be obviously very unethical. So basically, the NFTs are used, as we say, to represent a real world asset and the relationship among the participants.
Great. Nick, did you have a question?
Yeah, great job, guys. I like the presentation. How long have you been doing this? And then what period did you generate that 330K?
Perfect. Thank you very much, Nick. So we make money every transaction, every time we touch public blockchain. So we notarized, let's say we can notarize the origin of the biosample or the consents or the data transfer. And so we have many operations in our APIs. So whenever you touch that and you want to notarize that as a laboratory, we charge a fee. Usually, in average, is like 80 cents of a dollar per transaction, and that's the main source of our revenue. The use case of the airports, we were accepted by 25 approximately airlines because we were able to notarize that a person was able to fly, right? And this was part of the onboarding of the passenger. And so we charged the laboratory. It was an add-on or a service, an additional service the laboratories provided. And the other one, since when? 2018, we are the original proposals of tokenizing biosamples. And basically we've been since there exploring these opportunities.
And I apologize if I missed it, but how long does it take to take a sample, like to go from submitted to then getting results back to the user?
Basically, we are a white label solution, so that depends on the laboratory. But let's put an example for an exome. We work with 2 laboratories in San Diego. So usually it takes 2 to 4 weeks to receive the results and create the GenoVault, and then be able to use the AI to navigate your variants. Yeah.
Any other questions from judges? We've got 1 minute left. If not, I'll take the event. Oh, sorry, Shweta, did you have a question?
Sorry. Well, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Great presentation, by the way. I was just curious about your, and I know you touched on it a little bit, but what is your strategy to take it to market, and how are you going to sustain it going forward? Because the data may begin to come in quicker than you have imagined.
Yes, so thank you very much. So basically, we are a map of permissions or digital rights on every single biosample is notarized using our protocol. So every single genetic testing company or any company that uses biosamples or the collection tubes is our potential user. So even 23andMe, we will be delighted to have a 23andMe wallet hosted by us, or so on and so forth, right? So even if you're a small company or a large company, if you want to start ethically from day one and acknowledge that the patient is the data owner, and then we are a solution. So we're expanding more and more laboratories as they become more and more aware that this is the best way to scale, as we are again saying that now patients are data partners and not only users.
Great, thank you. Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much, Genobank. At this time, I'd ask the judges to please score Genobank on the score sheet. And at the same time, we'd like to ask Veda Health to please get ready and come online with your slides. Okay, great. Great, looks like Veda Health is ready. Judges, do you need more time? Otherwise, if everybody's good, we'll move on to Veda Health. All right, so Veda Health, you have 15 minutes. Sorry, you have 10 minutes for your presentation, starting from now.
Thanks, Shwan. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tanvi. I am one of the 2 co-founders of Veda Health. We are a virtual care platform that was really founded on the principle that patients deserve more than our healthcare experiences deliver to them today. And so, we started at a moment where IoT was kind of all the rage, and we hear these different phases within healthcare. We're kind of in an AI moment right now, and while all of these things are incredibly important, we took a little bit of a different approach to really say, what is the patient experience and what is the clinician experience that can really move the needle meaningfully in terms of engagement and in terms of outcomes. It's no surprise to anybody that's here that the healthcare landscape has changed dramatically in the last years, particularly with what COVID has ushered in. By 2030, we're expecting globally a $455 billion virtual care market. But the fact of the matter is that our care models remain unchanged. And so as we think about these changes within the healthcare landscape, the key question and problem that we are solving and answering for is really how to more effectively address patient management in non-traditional care settings. And we're seeing this happen really across the board with a very high rise in home health, with EMS services delivering care in the home. And as we think about some of the new entrants into the market in terms of direct-to-consumer companies. And this is really driven by the convergence of the patient and the consumer, where they have quality, convenience, and personalization really at the core of their decision-making processes. And so this is really challenging the healthcare industry as a whole to ultimately drive a more empowered patient experience and turn these models on their head. Now, each one of us has had a friend or family member with a difficult health battle, maybe even ourselves personally. We know that it can be challenging. We know that it can be overwhelming. But historically, it's been very episodic. Our solutions really need to more successfully move us between our moments in time where we may need high support or ongoing maintenance, and it doesn't necessarily look the same. Really meeting us where we are as patients, as consumers, because 90% of our time is spent outside of a traditional healthcare setting. This has implications really across the spectrum of care. At Veda Health, we really believe in a clinician-driven model. And so we are committed to providing solutions that from the clinician and kind of traditional point of care drive a more empowered healthcare experience, both for patients as well as clinicians. But as we think about the entire landscape, the opportunities are abound for providers to drive efficiency and better user experience, to solve for workflow challenges, particularly in a moment where provider burnout is top of mind. But at the core as well, patient engagement is a prerequisite to successful clinical outcomes. For payers, 25% of spend is actually on administrative costs. So looking at how we can take new models of care into lower acuity settings and really change and deploy more effective care pathways. And then when we think about the pharma side of it, how within these clinical workflows do we take advantage of opportunities around solutions like the new class of GLP-1 drugs on the market to better support patient behavior, to get patients on guideline-directed medical therapy, and then use that data and outcomes ultimately for negotiation with the payers. This is probably all begging the question, what is it exactly that we do at Veda Health? We offer a clinically validated platform that is integrated into the clinical workflow for patient monitoring and patient support and patient care anywhere. We are an omni-channel solution, meaning that we can engage with patients in whatever their preferred medium is. The first thing that we seek to understand is really the patient's digital phenotype. So how are we going to interact with this patient? Is it through their provider's system, Epic, for example, their MyChart account? Is it through SMS-based engagement? Is it through app engagement? Maybe they don't even have a cell phone and we have recorded calls going to their home phones. And it's really built on the premise that we need to have effective and sustained patient engagement to ultimately impact clinical outcomes. There's 3 components to our offering. We partner with a network of devices, primarily FDA-approved devices with some sort of cellular connection. These are simple things like blood pressure cuffs and weight scales, to multivariable sensors that all of that data is then ingested through our platform. We manage the full logistics around that so we can take that off the plate for our customers who are primarily hospitals and health systems. And we also recognize that no patient need is exactly the same. And so each of these interactions are really customized based on what that patient needs in a given moment in time, and also longitudinally as they manage their care. This is all fed into our platform, which provides digital care pathways and clinical workflows. These are personalized, and I'll get into that in a moment, based on a variety of variables, both data we're gathering from the patients, from wearables and sensors, but also from patient-reported outcomes and the clinical record. And then we support that with clinical training and clinical staffing. And so we have actually educational modules that are the first of their kind coming to market to really train nurses in what it means to do virtual care effectively. The secret sauce is that it's really not just the digitization of what exists, but really optimizing for these new care models. From the kind of AI perspective, in terms of our offering, we're very proud of what we've built in terms of our patient engagement engine. it's not linear and it's not purely rules-based, but it really takes into account, as I mentioned, a variety of variables and guides patients down a personalized experience based on their clinical experience, based on their preferences, based on how they're engaging, and different data coming in. Let's say they're prescribed a specific therapeutic. Data is layered on top of that for that therapeutic intervention on top of the condition and programmatic specific focus. And then we do the same on the clinical workflow side. So really intelligent filtering of this patient data paired with human intervention. We are firm believers in AI, but only in to the end that it enhances how humans care for patients. We have done a number of studies over the years with partners, some of which are listed on this slide. We've been able to prove a reduction in 30-day readmissions through IRB-approved studies. We've done more longitudinal studies in terms of monitoring and impacted outcomes, as well as patient and clinician satisfaction fairly significantly. We have also been deployed by a number of industry partners, both in the pediatric space, which we actually took the decision to move away from in recent years, as well as the adult space. Partners choose to work with us because they really need the intelligence as we think about this kind of new model of care delivery of how and when to treat patients. And so you send a patient home and then they're not feeling well. Do you bring them back into the clinic, or do you route that as an escalation to a telehealth visit, which can be conducted through our platform? And so it's really that longitudinal monitoring across a number of therapeutic areas, a number of condition sets, a number of geographies that allows health systems to really keep those patients within their ecosystem and really support the concept of never discharging a patient. In terms of our kind of expertise, as I mentioned, our secret sauce is really the platform. We are device agnostic, although we vet every device that we work with very thoroughly, again, with a strong emphasis on cellular enabled in order to reduce any patient friction points. Our proprietary kind of secret sauce is our technology platform, which is called Prosper. And we also have a very, very wonderful team of veterans of the industry from HCA, Ochsner, et cetera, supporting our growth and scale. So with that, I think I'm pretty close to up on time, and I'll turn it over to questions.
Great, perfect. I think we had a few seconds left before the cutoff came, so
15 seconds by my count.
Yes, that's pretty much what it was. Let's move on to Q&A. Shweta, I see you have a question.
Yes. First of all, really impressive. I like the fact that you've partnered with industry, and you've also done IRB studies. Can you talk a little bit more about your readmissions and how it was impacted, and how the patient outcome was improved in your studies?
So I'll speak specifically to one study that we conducted with a hospital in Michigan that's part of the Trinity Health Group. We did this in an IRB-approved study where 2/3 of the participants were control and 1/3 was investigational. And in that study, we were actually able to impact all-cause readmissions by 78%, and heart failure readmissions, these were all late-stage heart failure patients, by 75%. This was one of the very first studies we did. This was a very, very early version of our platform, which really taught us a lot about patient feedback being an incredibly important part. It's not enough to tell a patient, here's a set of devices, please use them, but how do we actually engage them in their care? And it served as a basis for how we continue to build out the platform. I didn't mention earlier, but we have a foundational layer of behavioral science within what we do and how we engage patients.
Great, thank you. Bill?
Yeah.
Thank you. Nice presentation. This space is highly competitive. I've seen a lot of companies trying to move into this space. I'm just curious on your platform. what truly differentiates you maybe from some of the competition? What's, your secret sauce? Is your algorithms? Is it your ability to be agnostic? I mean, is it a combination of things? I wasn't quite picking up what
Clear
the
on that. Yeah.
differentiator
So there are three primary reasons folks choose to work with us. One is really around the differentiation on patient engagement. Most companies that are out there in the market are shipping devices and saying, hey, please use them. And we've really built a very robust system to continue to educate and keep patients engaged over sustained periods of time. The second is really this concept of never discharging a patient. So most solutions historically have been point solutions. We'll sell you a set of kits for a post-acute monitoring period for 30 days, or hey, we're going to work with you in your endocrine department with this set of devices. And we've really been able to bridge that gap of moving beyond point solutions. And then the third, I would say, increasingly is this logistics model. There are so many amazing devices, as we've seen today as well, on the market and coming to market. And how do we really vet and define what's clinically appropriate across these use cases?
Awesome. Thank you. I think we have 2 minutes left. So I think, Shweta, did you have another question, or is that a residual hand? Might be a residual hand.
I will take a question if nobody has one.
I have one.
I think actually, yeah, Cheyenne has one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a question. This is kind of piggybacking off the previous question. I used to run Teladoc Health, and we acquired Livongo. Very similar kind of concept. And I think one of the biggest challenges that we faced when I was there was it's not about the membership, but it's actually about the activation. How do you get patients to get activated, right? It's not about how they interact with the platform, but we say this in clinical practice all the time. Yeah, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force the horse to drink water. And that's our biggest challenge in the United States, is getting patients to actually use a device or use a platform. Do you have any secret sauce there?
And you have just about 1 minute to answer that.
We definitely think that we do. I'm obviously deeply familiar with Livongo. So we actually, in present day, sell primarily to hospitals and health systems. This is a clinician-driven initiative, and that is ultimately where the primary relationship is. I know Teladoc and Livongo have those relationships as well, but most of that is based out of a clinical workflow. Beyond that, we've embedded behavioral science as others have in the market. We've reduced many barriers in terms of access. But I think for us, what it really comes down to is that personalization and how we're engaging that patient and understanding them and meeting them where they are, rather than saying, do X or do Y on their clinical workflow.
Okay, that's time. Shwen, to you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Veda Health. We'll ask the next startup, which is BlockCube, to start getting their presentation ready while the judges score Veda Health. So BlockCube, if you could get your presentation up, please.
You see my presentation?
We can. Thank you. Judges, does anybody need more time? If not, we'll move on to BlockCube. BlockCube, you have 10 minutes for your presentation starting now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rama, the CEO and founder of BlockCube. We're basically a fully decentralized system that is for clinical trials and accelerating clinical trials. Our approach over here has been basically governed by creating the foundational rails for a Web3 platform moving forward. Can you see my screen again?
Yes.
Yes, we can, but it's not moving.
Oh, hang on. Let me see again. I'll just start it once again.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, we see it again, but now we're not in presenter mode yet.
Rama, in the interest of time, I would just move it forward as it is and forget about presenter mode.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, we see it now. Yes.
So the question we really need to ask ourselves is, when you've got clinical study subjects like this, can they really own and participate in clinical studies? This was taken from our blockchain-based clinical study on observational diabetes study that took place a couple of years back. And our approach has been that we want to lay the foundational rails for a Web3 where people can move from being healthcare producers, from healthcare consumers to becoming healthcare producers. Now, like the proverbial piece about how do you eat an elephant, we got to do it in slices. Now, our approach has been basically to go step by step through this process. And in this process, what we want to do is to first build a decentralized clinical trial software system, which we have built and is Part 11 compliant. We have rolled out a supply chain, and we're working now in a stealth mode on the Web3 kind of elements about it. Again, using lean methodology, we recognize that the whole clinical trial space for software platforms is very huge. We're focusing on the site operations piece more than anything else. And that's where our BlockCube's initial area of focus is. Now, there are three major problems or pain points over here. Most of the current systems are batch-driven. They're not real-time, they're rear-facing. And the operational inefficiencies with multiple systems have been exacerbated because of the shift to DCT. There have been data integrity challenges. And the biggest challenge also is that patients and physicians who participate in trials are paid after 4 months even. And that delays things even more. So our approach has been that we will use, for now, an iPad and a smartphone-based system for the electronic data capture, allowing it to be very easy and intuitive to use, working with the cloud. And then, unlike most of our competitors, it's based off a Hyperledger Fabric blockchain engine and has got smart contracts to integrate the modules. This is Part 11 compliant. So how does it work? The four personas that we cater to are the sponsors, the site administrators who put together all the regulatory binders, the PI and the study coordinator, and of course, the monitors who are keeping track. And they've got individually different pain points that we focus on. And in this case, as we can see over here, each person gets their basic screen in which they can access based on how things are working for that trial specifically. We have the example of how this could work, but in the interest of time, I'm just going to go through it very, very, very quickly. There's an integrated finance module, which is unique, which brings together the budget and the actuals and sends out a payment instructions to pay people automatically through the system. We have an electronic informed consent also that operates, where we can give the consent in an audio format in the natural language of the individual that is being participating in the trial. So consent is not just a sign off on a white sheet, but actually on the natural language of that individual, whether it's Tamil or Bengali or Hosa. The other part, which is the case report forms, which is very standard, is basically done in an intuitive way so that we can track in real time as the patient goes through their process. Given it's a blockchain-based engine, we got very comprehensive audit trails. We've got regulatory binders to keep. They're called trial master file. And on top of it, we also have a dashboard that sits there and allows people to use it and understand what is going on in real time. And this was tested out globally, actually. And this was actually being used in the study over here. So coming forward, what we have done is we've now built a blockchain engine supply chain module with an IoT tracker that delivers 5 parameters. And you can see I tested this out by sending a package of tissue PET implanted block from our home here to a lab in Florida. And we could track even the temperature at an hourly interval. The intent of this tracking, tracing, and provenance supply chain over here is that there's a pain point of almost 50% wastage that takes place in clinical trials IM materials. And we hope to curb that using this structure that we have. We have been in business for about 6 years. We nearly got wiped out during COVID, but I'm really proud to say that we were able to get 1.7 million through angels and family foundations and friends and family. And now that we are going into a customer acquisition mode, we have also signed 3 MOUs. For those of you who are less familiar with this market of eClinical platform, this is a $10 billion dollar market growing at 13%. But we are being very specific and careful and judicious, where we're going only for the phase 1, phase 2 study with small, mid-sized CROs in predefined geographic and therapeutic areas. However, with the modules that we have and the application, it can go into nutraceuticals, it can go into animal health and other areas also. Our pipeline right now has got about 20. We delivered 3. We've got 3 MOUs now to be processed. We actually were just lost out last week to a 4th with a very large pharma company. But we lost the skirmish, but we're not lost the war because we'll be getting called back for the main program. Monetization model is basically enter with low-cost POCs, go to a license trial with the modules, and then we move to a SaaS-based platform moving forward. Now, why do we think we've got a strength? That's because we've got a strong domain expertise, and I've already talked to you about some of the key differentiators and the moat that we have. CB Insights has pointed out that we are ahead of the pack in terms of technology, and the Prix Galien has nominated us for 2 years in a row for the Best Startup Award, which is considered by some as the Nobel Prize for Innovation. We're at an inflection point right now because even regulatory guidelines have been changed. We've been recognized and we've got the product market fit validated. But the future really is in looking at the whole healthcare conundrum, where there's only 1% of protein targets that are viable. And if you look at the kind of exploitation that has taken place, this is with Henrietta Lack and Jonesberg, where in one case, the cervical cancer cells were used and until recently not compensated. And the Greenberg situation was patents were filed on there. So there is a strong need for foolproof digital asset-driven ownership with ease of access. And I'm honored that we have some people who have already presented that. Our goal through this process is to get rid of the intermediaries that are there through a tokenized solution moving forward. We're still in the early stages of discussion there with some layer 1 and layer 2 protocols. Team-wise, we've got a very strong background, and I stand on the shoulders of some 4 very strong individuals, and almost half of our advisors have got either MDs or PhDs. Our ask basically is a 3 million seed raise to acquire 5 million customers and 1 million annual recurring revenues using our decentralized clinical trials software system. And we're basically using it for putting our organization together in terms of creating the platform for even faster acquisition moving forward. And basically, we want to transform using Web3 healthcare so that we access 8 million healthcare producers. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, BlockCube. That was great. And also within 30 seconds to spare. Do we have any questions from the judges?
I have a question.
Sure. Nick, go ahead.
Great. Who would buy this, Rama? I like your ask, by the way. But who would buy this?
Thank you. Nick, our customers are small, mid-sized life science companies and CROs.
Oh, I'm sorry. Rama, let me clarify. When I say who would buy this, I mean who would buy the platform? Who do you think is going to come in and buy this?
That is the answer. It's CROs who buy the platform. So that's whom we have sold it to. Our first customer was actually a hospital that was doing an observational diabetes study, and they had 850 patients to do in 12 months. They gave us 150 patients, and we did that in 12 days. Even adding in the time it took to build the model, etc., that we must have saved them about 50% of the time. So that's the target that we have. But we're getting some opportunistic requests also from large pharma for real-world evidence studies, and that's what happened last month.
Okay, just to be clear, who would buy your company?
Oh, buy a company? I'm sorry, I misunderstood you.
That's okay.
Yeah, the exit. Okay. Well, sorry. I'm so focused on the platform, my apologies. Number one is that we already had expressions of interest from 5 different categories of people. So one were competitors. The second is people who are large CROs. And the third is potentially also pharma. And we hope that that might happen, let's say, once we can stabilize our revenue platform in the next 3 to 5 months. Apologies, Nick, I misheard your question.
Judges, any other questions? If not, maybe I'll ask one. I think you showed earlier that you're competing with a lot of players that are trying to establish a headway in this space, especially in the decentralized trial space. I'm just curious, what is your biggest differentiator, and how do you think your Web3 layer is going to really change and differentiate yourself from others, especially from the lens of, let's say, the sponsors?
Yeah. So I'll keep the Web3 piece to the side, because what I believe is I don't want to put the cart before the horse. We want to demonstrate execution competencies and show that the foundational rails work. So I'll first start by responding that for the decentralized clinical trial software. So the differentiators there are the 3 modules additionally that we have built. For example, the finance module that speeds up the payment processing, as well as the accounting and the budget versus actual comparison. Secondly, the supply chain processing, which also gives a real-time, complete real-time view. Third is, we need to keep in mind we're one of the very few blockchain engine companies, and that gives the classic benefits like reducing the vulnerability to ransomware attacks, the immutability, the speed with which you can retrieve it. So that is where we see the differentiators coming in right now. The crux of the matter is we are trying to create a true decentralized software system where anybody can use and then build, quote unquote, a clinical trial, let's say a long COVID study, for example. And that is where we think the current structures, which are the tech stack is built on data lakes, maybe data swamps, as somebody says, but data lakes, and are a little unwieldy to create the structure. They're very controlled by centralized controls, whereas ours will be fully decentralized through that process.
Great, thank you very much. Any last questions before we move on to the next presentation? No, if not, thank you very much, BlockCube.
Appreciate it. And if there's any other questions, appreciate it.
So I do, and it took me a while to unmute myself.
No worries.
But Rama, thank you so much for the presentation. I was just really intrigued because there's a company that I've been working with, and it's in the clinical trial space, and they're trying to take or increase diversity in that space. I don't know what you have been doing to address diversity, because
so that's a brilliant question.
That's a big problem for the CROs.
Yeah,
1 minute to answer.
Question.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a brilliant question, because what we have done is that there are 3 parts to it. One is by usage of our, let's say, iPad or smartphone platform, we can get to a more diverse reach. Secondly, our e-consent has got audio consent, which is administered in the natural language, whether it is Spanish or Hmong or whatever, the language of the study subjects. And we demonstrated that in India, southern India, where it was actually administered in Tamil and in Telugu in 2 separate trials. And the third part also is that because it's running off the cloud, it can go to the patient's home in a classic DCT way. And that's where we also score. The last thing is that because it's in real time, we're able to give a dashboard where people can see whether we're meeting the diversity goals or not, and then tailor or change the focus during this trial. And that is what we tested as our dashboard in the past couple of options. So no longer do you have to have inclusion, exclusion criteria saying you have to know English.
That's time, Rama. Thank you. Shwan?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great, thank you, BlockCube. And we'll move on to our second to last presentation by, I believe it's called Envelope, I guess. Envelope, are you ready? If you could start bringing up your presentation while the judges score the last presentation from BlockCube. All right, great. We can see your presentation. Judges, anybody need more time for scoring? Nope. All right, great. Envelope, you have 10 minutes for your presentation starting from now.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me here today. My product today are RAD NFTs. We're building the blocks for proofs, blockchain proofs. Welcome to your own envelope. I'm the CEO and founder. I've been in the blockchain space for quite a while and actually do data capture. So we do data capture at time of service, IoT, 5G, car data, and now we'd like to get into health data. And that's what we call our envelope, creating that envelope around your life. So why do we want to make radiology NFTs? Problems with radiology. There's a 4.5 increase per year by patients, 130% growth in facilities since 2020. Where is all your imaging? I'm sure we've seen all of these diagnostic imaging centers like on every corner, and they're very proprietary. And at this point, you would almost have to go to every single location to get those images. There has to be an easier way. And finally, they're commodities, whether you use them or the healthcare service use them. So there you go. $131 billion market in 2023 projected. Let's see, 60% of perceptual errors in radiology reads have no prior or multidisciplinary comparisons. So they don't have any imaging to compare to. They don't have anything to have a line to start with. So 25 to 50% of radiologists disagree with others' findings, and 30% disagree with their own conclusions on second reading. And I've even interviewed a lot of radiologists with that. Patients end up with incorrect diagnosis, contributing to $80 billion in medical errors. Even though radiology is 30% of daily medical traffic, patients do not receive P4 medicine. There's no history. So P4 medicine, personalized medicine. So how are we going to approach this for radiology NFTs? Well, it's an ancillary. And ancillaries feed the medical system. They're all of the things that give the diagnostics to the and support a need for service. So how do you expedite the service and satisfy patients, providers, and clinicians? Well, patients receive NFTs, a personal digital library. They establish their provenance and they have their history. Providers get free software to use. We can't really ask them to pay on top of the current competitors of Nuance, which is a large PACS DICOM sharing process for radiology. And we're going to put in the early use of ISO and IEEE guidelines for digital health, digital capture, imaging capture, and sharing. And that gives improved interoperability. We're not making a platform that has all of these other things. We're making something that is going to go into a blockchain proof to prove a need for service. So for the clinicians, the very right there, their value of care rises, their reimbursements improve, and updated standards are met that are coming right down the pipeline, maybe even ones that we don't know about. So a hospital, in essence, is one big ledger. It's a complex dynamic database, a blockchain database. Basically, every device, certification, credential, license, outcome, proof of authority to be a doctor is an NFT. Envelope runs blockchain-based 5G towers for T-Mobile with NFT licenses. All of our air quality index devices have NFT licensures. I'm a certified digital asset advisor. My licensure is an NFT. These are not really security assets. These are ones that prove ownership and they prove value. So you can see all of these things coming into a file that Healthcare Web 2 has all of these acrobatics about, oh, we have to be proprietary and we have to work together and work together. That's a waste of time. So here's your common use of case of NFTs. People think of them artistic pictures, et cetera, silly cases. But in all reality, The reason that $25 billion was invested by the Japanese government in 2023 is because if you assemble all of these blockchain pieces together to get a blockchain proof, you prove a need for service. You've basically picked all of those things off the ledger and put it down into a Merkle proof, or I even prefer a Verkle proof that's 150 megabits long. And nobody calls, nobody does all this other information. You have a blockchain proof. So RAD NFTs, Bio NFTs, MPI NFTs, Proof of Humanity NFT, Proof of Authority NFT. Are you a doctor? Are you a real human? Is this a doctor performing and have credentials? Is there a Bio NFT to support this evidence? Where do we find out how this need for service happens? That is where you have a 33% compounded annual growth in just NFT utility market, okay? So, market strategy. Ownership of medical assets is the answer to improve patient interaction with the industry that you have been looking for. This is how you achieve patient-centric health. I mean, what happened when you bought your first house and you moved from an apartment? You know, you actually start caring about things. You know, people, we'll give you all these healthcare records. We'll make them accessible. You can touch this button, that button. I mean, they're not invested. You know, why? We plan on including the instant adaptation of ISO TC 307, ISO T3249, and the GDPR, CCPA, and all state medical asset consumer privacy laws ahead of others with international compliance and personalized medicine. The paucity to address scheduled updates are a problem for patient privacy demands. Our health system is slow, even though they know the problems that are coming. The public is discovering the difference between monetary and organizational utility for NFTs. So, utility will drive adoption. Envelope, we have our own online laboratory now. We are ready to accept DICOM imaging and give people their NFTs and the ability to share, the ability to do all these other things. We can't really charge or offer this an additional service at the place for the radiology. There are stark laws about that. But that will be driven by patient adoption that will bite on the other end. We'll get to that. And it's on the GenoBake platform, multidisciplinary comparisons, approaching personalized medicine, and reports for you to provide to your physician. More and more ancillary NFTs are needed to make a blockchain proof of service, okay? So that is where we come in for building the blocks for a blockchain proof of service. I mean, you can just think of all the administrative roles that gets rid of right there. And I work in radiology every day. I see this. It's a common problem. People are like, "Oh, you can just care everywhere, nuance." It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Envelope needs a simple DICOM web P2P app. No FDA certification needed because we're not changing the imaging in any AI fashion. The imaging are just straight DICOM files. Nuance, they had to get FDA certification, all these other things. We're sending straight DICOM files. Certified MPI and patient consumer users will be the ones that are on there. So we're hopefully trying to get MPI NFTs for the doctors or physicians or laboratories that need it. And then the patients, they'll all have NFTs because it'll be a gated token entrance. You have a quick push, simple use, temporary storage of handling in the DICOM Web 2 app because it's just a web, or DICOM Web 3 app because it's just a very low memory app that'll pop up on the technologist screen that we think can be used in addition to Nuance that will show more and more utility as it comes. Passing envelope storage to facilitate increase in patient volume.
Time, Brian, sorry, over to Schwen now. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Envelope. Sorry, we ran out of time there, but I see Cheyenne already has a question, so why don't I hand it off to him?
Okay.
Thank you. Good job on your presentation. Love your passion. Question is it's not easy for a consumer or a patient to get their data to your platform. We're essentially the barrier is the EMR, and you mentioned those proprietary diagnostic radiology centers, their network. So how do you think about that challenge, about the EMRs and the segregated databases?
We are already engaged with 2 providers of IETFs and the independent diagnostic testing facilities who are very interested in this because of the exclusivity of it, and their independent diagnostic testing facilities. I know it'll be a long time before hospitals try and get this in, but this will be driven by patient demand. If I can get 1 to 2 radiology labs, actually I'm being offered about 10 to 20 from a new system here in Kansas City where I'm based. It will show improved patient satisfaction for them. They necessarily might not be able to get a profit share right away, but they'll get the free software to use, and they'll be able to get more and more referrals. We're going to stress that radiology order can go to, you can take it anywhere. So if your doctor says, take it here, don't take it here. We've got to make them aware of that, which will be a marketing campaign that's pretty much a pull marketing campaign. We're aware of the bad view of push campaigns with NFTs. So I hope that answers your question.
Great, thanks. Any other questions from the judges? If not, I'm going to just ask a quick one.
Wait,
which is
I have a little bit more to add if I have time on the answer. And we're also looking at
2.5
things
minutes.
like SPAC DAOs. SPAC DAOs, you know, why not even just buy the facility? Why not even just go out and do fundraising and just, you know, start to buy these facilities through SPAC DAOs? And start to give HSA accounts to people who are disabled, who can't keep any more income from the revenue that they would get from the patients. We could send them for decentralized clinical trials. So there you go.
Great. All right, one last quick question from me, which is who's your target customer and what's your business model for this? Because I think you didn't get to that as well.
Target business or target customer is the patient and the business. It's a 2-pronged strategy where the patients are very aware of this. I do very many engagements on this when I speak about it, and people are like, can I do it right now? I'm like, no. But that we believe is going to be the driver of this. That is a very network effect in blockchain. When people start to find out about a privacy model, they flock. As far as the business goes, we want to show them that they're not going to be charged for this software, but eventually when they start to see that they can share a lot faster, patients prefer it, we can start charging minimal fees until we can take over other platforms, or they can use both. So we are very aware of that. That's why this one would be offered for free. In addition, on top of that, all of the income would come from patient costs for people who obviously want to do this. And then we have to have the locations willing to do it, which I have those lined up too. Remote patients. I mean, how many vendors are you going to have come in there and do ultrasounds? Where's all my imaging? Oh, I have to get out of bed and go to the facility. It's just, I mean, you have to have more and more and more interaction between this. And they actually will find utility in this too.
That's time. Over to you, Schwen.
Thank you. Yep. And thank you, Envelope. And we'll move on to our last but certainly not least presentation, which is from Quantum AI. Judges, please score envelope now as Quantum AI brings their presentation online.
Okay.
Okay, and
I'm
I
trying
think
to stop
envelope needs
sharing.
to, yeah.
Oh. What happened to my screen?
I think
Okay,
I think I stole it already.
Okay, good, good.
No, we're still seeing envelopes right now.
Oh, here we go. Sorry.
Okay.
It was a little line atop of my desk. Okay, there you go.
There we go, Quantum. Okay, you know, we've only got just enough time to finish this one off. So let's get started unless anybody has any other questions or anything. If not, Quantum, you have 15 minutes starting from now.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for having me. I'm Seth Dobrin. I'm the CEO and founder of Quantum AI. And our goal is to use generative AI to help elevate the AI IQ of organizations and help them really figure out how do they leverage generative AI as well as other AI technologies. Again, myself, I'm considered an expert in AI and its applications in business. I have a PhD in human molecular genetics, and I've been published and done research outside of where my PhD was in neuropsychiatric genetics and neurodegenerative diseases, on blood disorders, on pharmacogenomics, and many others, including population genetics. I've led several AI implementations at multiple Fortune 500 companies, and have generated billions of dollars worth of value through those technologies. And I'm applying this to help organizations build out AI strategies, organizational capacity, and technical capacity. My value proposition is a human-centric approach where we put people first in all aspects of AI. This is especially important in applications that impact the health, wealth, and livelihood of a human. In the case of these, you know, the health-related use cases, it's obviously the health impact. We're value-driven, so every organization really cares about how's it affecting my top and my bottom line, especially in healthcare, given the tight margins. And we have a tailored approach that customizes our strategy and solutions specifically for business needs. Our target market are Fortune 500 companies, other large enterprises and equity firms and their portfolio companies. And the ideal customer profile within those are senior leaders, so the C-suites and the boards, as well as technology and innovation leads within those companies. The market size for AI is tremendous. You know, it's expected to be about $730 billion by 2028. Expected to reach almost $1 trillion by 2030. And it's rapidly growing. It's got a 40% CAGR as companies begin to adopt AI. And these estimates were actually before generative AI really hit the ground running earlier this year. And so I expect the market in the CAGR is going to dramatically increase beyond where it is, and the analysts agree with that. In terms of what we offer, you know, again, we tailor our solutions towards business board and senior execs, and we help them build out AI strategies focused again on using a human focus and a quantifiable value-based approach to create value on the top and bottom line. We help them identify areas for AI governance and accountability, and we help execs build out AI IQ, so deep understanding of AI, as deep an understanding of AI as necessary for their level. We also help them build out organizational capacity, so this is through AI strategy execution, through AI governance implementation, and through AI education from the bottom to the top of the organization. And we also are focusing on helping them build out the technological capacity in terms of the appropriate architecture, the appropriate infrastructure, and the necessary AI IQ for the builders on these platforms. Now, today, when we look at where we started, we were initially an advisory service, and I've been using a repeatable methodology for over a decade on how to build out these types of strategy. And recently, what we started doing is focusing on building a software version of these advisory services to do two things. A, when I leave a customer from doing a consultant or an advisory engagement, I leave them with a license to the software, or we'll leave them with a license to the software for 1 year that is renewable after that, as well as building an organic access to this technology or to this methodology through just digital marketing and typical SaaS based approaches, and then also through partnerships where we conduct training and program and upskilling with clients, and then there are needs that go beyond what we provide at Quantum AI, and I'm currently building partnerships with organizations that can help extend and fully execute on what I leave them with, and that is through a revenue sharing model where they will bring me in to help them and their customers build strategies, and I will bring them in to help do some of the execution and training and activities like that. And the typical arrangement is a 15% cut, and so we will be getting revenue from our partners, and we already have a half a dozen signed contracts with partners. We expect our go-to-market strategy to be focused on direct sales, partnerships, as I mentioned, and then thought leadership. About 50% of our revenue is going to come from direct sales, about 30% through partnerships, and about 20% through thought leadership. I spend about 2 weeks every month traveling around the world giving presentations across not just technology but different industries. So it's a great pipeline for me to bring in businesses across the industries, and they're typically at the C level, so it's the right audiences as well. Traction plan, as I mentioned, leveraging my network. I've got an extensive professional network in the realm of AI, but also from my early days, the first 15 years of my career I spent in healthcare and life sciences. So being able to leverage that network is going to be incredibly important. Obviously, investing in marketing and PR, and then using customer successes and showcasing them to drive new opportunities, as well as provide proof points and emphasizing the proven ROI through these customers to help build trust in future engagements. When we look at customer use cases, one of my first customers is a pharma company, and we help them build an AI strategy, looking across their organization, identifying 3 areas that they really need to apply, not just AI, because they're already applying AI in some of these areas, but generative AI to help accelerate their efforts. So everything from target discovery, where they are using, they have a unique technology platform that requires a specific type of target beyond small molecules. So they focus on areas where small molecules are not going to be successful for a variety of reasons. So helping them discover targets and synthesize synthetic or simulate potential targets to meet specific disease needs and molecules that will satisfy them. We're helping them build out filing automation. So as they go and hand things off to CROs and to the FDA, we're automating a lot of that filing process, as well as automating the creation of appropriate data packages between steps, so they can maintain an appropriate workflow that has the right checks and balances and stage gates in it, but also to have that chain of custody and that consistent provenance when they actually go to apply for their FDA approvals when it comes to fruition. And then there's some really important work that needs to happen in lab workflow optimization, and helping them to identify a more scalable and repeatable methodology, and making sure that their lab technicians and the researchers get appropriate access to the right information when they need it. And generative AI is actually ideal for all 3 of these use cases. When we look at our revenue projection, expecting $1 million of revenue in the first year, $6 million in the second year, and about $15 million in the third year. And again, this is from growth that we expect to see both from the consulting opportunities as well as the software. And the implementation of the software is critically important because right now the consulting is the stage gate on consulting is me. I only can do so many engagements at a time, and being able to scale this through a software solution that is a repeatable process is going to be really important for our continued success. What we're looking for is we're starting to do a seed round right now. We're looking for $1 million. Where we're building out the platform. Once we get the Series A, we'll use about $5 million to grow the business, and we'll do that next year. And then 2 years after that, we'll be looking for a Series B of about 15 million that'll enable us to scale the business and really help build out that customer base for future potential acquisition by another consulting firm that wants to increase their margins and increase their scalability. Looking at how do they leverage their current methodologies to build a higher margin business as opposed to a rather low and tight margin business. And with that, I am done, and I think I'm at time right now.
Yep, perfect. Thank you very much, Quantum. Judges, any questions?
I'll ask a question. So in the consulting world, I can understand how that grows your pipeline, and companies and CEOs, as you mentioned, are building relationships with you. They're trusting you. Pivoting your ability today to go in and create these real experiences and relationships, and then pivoting that to technology is a significant difference, right? What do you think the engagement's going to be? Because I'd rather have you in my office telling me about AI versus walking through a tutorial online.
Yeah, so it's more than a tutorial. And so I guess two things. One of the fastest growing software businesses in the world, Palantir, started as a consulting business, and they systematized their assets into software. And so there's a couple other really good examples. And so I am not, especially for the larger companies, I'm not looking to replace me. I'm looking to leave them with the tools that they need to continue to use the methodologies that I've honed over the last decade once I walk out the door through a set of software assets. And it's more than just training. It's also the repeatable methodology that I've built. It's also the KPIs, so the value-driven KPIs. And then some of the architectural and infrastructure capabilities that need to happen once I leave. And there will be companies that wouldn't be able to afford, one of the big three or even me when I walk out the door. And I want to make sure that this is as democratized as possible. And certainly they can leverage some of my expertise. We can set up sessions as part of the subscription where they're kind of, think of them as ask me anything sessions to dig deeper into some of the needs.
Great, thank you. Any other judges have questions? If not, thank you very much, Quantum, and thank you very much to all the startups who presented. If I could ask everybody to just use your reaction sort of icon to give everybody a hand. The way we do it virtually, I guess. And thank you for all your time and participation and energy and excitement about what you're bringing to us today. Startups, if I could ask you to please drop off the call. We have about 2 minutes left for judges to deliberate and discuss.
Before then, Shwen, sorry, I'd like to thank all the contestants.
Oh, yes, sorry.
For their ingenuity and their pioneerism in sharing products and services with judges here today and the ConV2X audience. We knew going into the competition that it would be tight and exceptionally impressive. The judges now will discuss their evaluations for a final tally, and we thank judges certainly for their time and expertise. Stay tuned, we'll announce the winners soon, and we wish you all luck and continued success on your journeys, and very pleased to amplify and reward your efforts at ConV2X 2023 Ignition Competition. Thank you all.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.